Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video, I wanted to make an update on the top teams for the Guild Supremacy GLYPHSHADE boss now that we have Shemira, and Shemira is absolutely destroying this boss. People are getting up to 5 trillion or above scores with Shemira, and this is causing the boss to go down literally within minutes of some active guilds, and you're not even given a chance to get your attack in. But that is besides the point. So we're going to start by talking about the new Shemira team. And the credit for this team goes to Riketsia, Soburn, and Kaha Wolf, who came up with this one. And we're going over the Yapala infographic, so I'll leave a link to the Discord in the description of this video as well. So here is the team. It will be Rainier in front of Shemira. The twins are going to be blue twin on the faction tile in the back and pink twin on the right. You're going to have Faramore also on the faction tile. And now what this Celestial Hypogean tile means is that you can literally put in any single Celestial Hypogean hero you want. And it usually doesn't even make that much of a difference. People are even getting maximum scores running Fresto here, and I'll show you an example of that, with the real Fresto in front of Elijah, blue-haired twin, and then the illusion to the left of the real Fresto. Now, the key thing about this team is that Harmonic Spell is the best if the boss is above 50% health. When the boss drops below 50% health, and this goes for every single team for GLYPHSHADE, you want to switch to Lightforge spell, because that gives your whole team execution, increasing your damage dealt to the boss by a percentage, and it just makes Lightforge the better option. But otherwise, Harmonic is the best here. Now, for this team comp, it can work even if your Fresto, for example, if you're running him, is not very highly built. He hardly contributes anything. However, you're going to need to have Shemira and Faramore ideally at Mythic Plus, because that is really where their damage becomes good. People have even run this comp with a 1 copy of Rainier, and it still gets a decent damage score. So you can even try that, even if your Rainier is not built to Mythic Plus. But of course, getting him to Mythic Plus is a big breakpoint for increasing the damage of this team. And then the twins, ideally you have them at Mythic Plus or Supreme Plus, but you can try it at lower than that. And as for the charms for this top comp, you're going to want to have Shemira with the Butcher charms. You're going to want to have the twins with sorcery charms. Every GLYPHSHADE team that uses the twins will have twins with sorcery charms. Faramore, either arcane charms or ruthless charms, both are doing well for this GLYPHSHADE team. But arcane charms are what is generally recommended. And whichever other Celestial Hypogean you're running in here, it doesn't really matter what their charms are. You can go for any set because their damage is so negligible in comparison to Shemira and Faramore, who are basically doing all of the work for your team. And Rainier, if you get a Mystic Charms, is fine, but again, it will not change that much. So overall, this is the top team. This is the one which is getting the 4 to 5 trillion damage scores and basically almost single-handedly taking the boss down for your guild by yourself. So if you have these heroes, this is great. And Shemira is hitting like over 3.5 trillion damage just on her own in this comp. But the interesting thing is, outside of this comp, Shemira is not really fitting into the other teams. So like, she's working the best here, but for the other comps we're going to show you, which are the more free-to-play friendly versions, you're not going to see Shemira anywhere. So now what I want to jump to is Rhymes' team, which is still a good option. It's the only Mauler team which is good for GLYPHSHADE boss right now. And it's using just Sinbad and Odie as damage dealers. And you can even swap Sinbad for Lily May if your Sinbad is not built up. This is the most free-to-play friendly version of a GLYPHSHADE team. And you just need to have Shakira at Mythic Plus, plus 10 exclusive equipment. And if you don't, you can swap him out for Kruger, like you see here. And you want to go for Blade Summon Artifact and swap it to the Lightforge if the boss drops below 50% health when you're using your attack. This is still a solid team, but it is the weakest of all of the team options, but also it is the most free-to-play friendly. Then we have 3 different Lightbearer teams. Now, these teams, it will depend which heroes you have built up. BeepZ's version doesn't even have a single copy of the twins. So, for example, if you don't have the twins or they're not highly ascended, you can run this comp, and it is good, but it is using Cassidy, and you need to have Cassidy at Mythic Plus if you're going to run this team. And like the Rhymes' team, this is going to use Blade Summon Artifact, and when the boss drops below 50% health, you switch it to the Lightforge. But for this comp, you'll want to have Sinbad built at least Mythic Plus. You'll want to have Cassidy at least Mythic Plus. The other heroes, you'll probably have Odie built. So it's good, but it is needing Cassidy at Mythic Plus. The other two Lightbearer teams here, you're going to be using the twins, so they're a little bit more difficult for you to run. But if you do have the twins at Mythic Plus or above, these are good teams you can use, and probably they will be your best option. Riketsu's team is really good because it isn't using Rainier Mythic Plus, and it's basically the top performing team that doesn't have a Rainier Mythic Plus in it. So this is a great option for people who do not have Rainier Mythic Plus. It will be with the Blade Summon artifact. You switch it to Lightforge when the boss drops below 50% health. And Pheromore should be at Mythic Plus. Sinbad should be at least Mythic Plus. Hugin doesn't really matter. Sonya doesn't matter, but ideally have her ascended. And as for the charms, Blast Charms onto Hugin are going to be the best because Sinbad is going to be leaving the Mechanized Bond tile. Sinbad should have Gale Charms in all of the teams where Sinbad is being used. Pheromore should have the Arcane Charms, ideally, although people are also doing well with Ruthless Charms onto Pheromore, and Twins should have the Sorcery Charms. Those are the key charms. Okay, so moving on to Riketsu's Rainier version of the comp that also is using Merrily as a damage dealer. If you have Rainier Mythic Plus, maybe you don't have Pheromore, you can run this team, and it is good with the Harmonic or the Blade Summon artifact, and when the boss drops below 50% out, you swap for Lightforge. The only difference in charms would be Merrily would want the Overloaded charms, which we haven't talked about up until this point. And by the way, the Cassidy and Beebsy's team, probably Mystic Charms or Acute Charms would be the recommendation, and Sonya should be running the Arcane Charms, ideally, and Mikola running the Arcane Charms as well, and Odie with the Gale Charms. That's probably what you want to run. So, but otherwise, this comp is going to be similar to the other heroes we've already talked about, but you will need to have Mythic Plus or above twins. Sinbad, Merrily, ideally Mythic Plus or above, or they should definitely be if you're running this team. And probably, Hugin can probably work at one copy as well. Rainier Mythic Plus. Okay, now we just have two final Celestial Hypogean teams, which are not as good as the Shemira team. But if you don't have Shemira built, then these are the teams which are the best, top performing ones. Both of them will need to have Rainier at Mythic Plus if you want to try running these teams. They should also have the twins at Mythic Plus or really even Supreme Plus. But both of these teams will use a Harmonic spell, and they'll switch to Lightforge when the boss drops below 50% health. The other heroes here, the charms, Sinbad Gale Charms, like we said, Pheromore Arcane Charms, Mikola Arcane Charms, and the twins with the Sorcery Charms. Talion with the Blast Charms, but if the boss is below 50% health and you really want to min-max, you can give her Destructive Charms, but honestly, that is it is not that important, but you can just stick to the Blast Charms. That's always going to be pretty solid. So these are the top teams if you do get the opportunity to attack in the GLYPHSHADE boss. And if, for example, you're on in a weaker guild that maybe don't have that many active players, then it will be more important for you to really be locking in the top comps. Because, like, for example, the Shemira team that we showed you, it can almost, like, 3-shot the boss. If 3 of you on your guild are all running that team comp, you're gonna have an easy time. So, but if you have a really active guild, probably you won't even need to run the optimal teams and you'll still be able to clear it. But this is just interesting information and for you to get that high score for your guild. So anyway, guys, again, credit to Yapala for this infographic. Leave a link to the Discord in the description of this video. Thank you guys for watching. And if you are not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please smash that subscribe button. Also, feel free to join my AFK Journey Discord server. There's a link to that in the description of this video. And we have a lot of active members there and talk about everything related to AFK Journey. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, everyone, peace out for now.